What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to the Struggle to Strength podcast, your source for real life application on how to turn your struggles into strengths in all things mind, muscle, and money. This is an interesting episode. You know, right off the bat, and you probably had the same reaction. Like Randy, our guest, said most people do, like, give more so you can make more money. And I think for a lot of people, that could be like a hard thing to wrap their head around.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting to me that it is a hard thing to wrap your head around, honestly.
Same.
Because it makes a lot of sense. Like, just be a good person and good things will happen to you. Like, yeah. Who raised you guys?
Come on, man. At the end of the episode, Randy was like, man, I'm really glad that you guys understood what I was saying, because some people don't. And Travis and I both were like, I don't really know how you could misinterpret what you're saying, man. Like, it makes sense.
Yeah,
you do good things.
On.
Good things happen to you. People want to support people who in businesses who do good things. So this was a really cool episode, because I think a lot of times we think of, you know, doing good things or donating in this case as it has to be like a certain amount of money. It has to be a certain percentage. It has to be this or that. And Randy kind of like broke all of those assumptions down and made it really easy to understand how you can work giving into your business or into your life. And it doesn't have to be for the tax write-off. It doesn't have to be financial. And he made it really easy to understand. So if you are, whether you're a small business or whether you're a larger corporation, or even if you're just a person who wants to learn how to give more so you can get more, you can give more, you can help more people, his whole foundation is based on the idea that we can make more money so that we can help more people. And ultimately, the more people we can help, the more successful we are. So this was cool, man. I definitely am going to adjust some of the strategies that I've been using. And I highly recommend everybody tune in, grab a pen and notepad, because there's some pretty cool statistics here and interesting ways that you can work this into your business. So stay tuned, y'all. This is a good episode with a very good human, Randy, and we will see y'all inside. I'm excited to get into it, man. I like kind of what you're about with inspiring people to make more money so they can give more money, and inspiring people to go from 6 to 7 figures. Like, I think for a lot of people that doesn't seem like a possibility, but I'm excited for you to inspire them and, you know, let them know that it is. So I guess to jump in, why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are, how you got here, and what you're doing today?
Yeah, so I'm a real estate investor from up here in Canada. And along the way, we've had some success. And the journey was great. We bought quite a few properties, raised quite a bit of capital. And then at some point had a turning point where I just was sitting there one day going, this is great, but I feel like I'm missing something. You know, there's just something in my core that was like, you know, success, the fame, the hanging out with these incredible people was just not exciting me. And so I heard a podcast with a guy by the name of Cole Hatter, and he ran a conference called Thrive, Make Money Matter. And he talked all about how he went and made a lot of money, lost it in the recession, and then went and served in Mexico, and realized that when he was down there, that's where he made the biggest impact. And it made him feel the most fulfilled, was actually helping serve people. And then he's like, I could do that for super cheap down there. And, you know, I can help a lot more people. If I can go back to the States and learn how to make a ton of money, I could actually make a lot of impact in this world. So he started doing that and then ran a conference for it. I was like, that's it. That was the key to what I was missing. As soon as I heard it, my gut, you know, I got the butterflies in the gut, and I was like, I got to get to this conference. So I went down to the conference, signed up for his mastermind on the spot right then and there, and just started learning how to make our money matter and inside the real estate space. So we would take a portion of our properties and donate a bit of cash flow every single month to charities. We were running a monthly meetup, and we started, it was a free monthly meetup. And then we charged $10 at the door to make it a donation. And the one thing we realized as we started doing all this was the more we donated, the more excited we got to build the products bigger, better, and faster. So, you know, our meetup had 30 people at it. And, you know, it's a hard sell. Hey, come listen to us speak about real estate, learn how to invest with us. As soon as we put $10 ticket on the items and made it a donation, we're like, cool, we're donating $300 a month. But if we put 100 people in that room, we could be donating $1,000 a month. And all of a sudden the motivation changed for us. And so we just packed that room full of people, and the phone calls and the marketing became easier. It was like, hey, come make a $10 donation and learn how to invest in real estate and learn about our products versus trying to draw people in to just hear about what we're doing. So it just changed a lot of our perspective and how we were growing our businesses. And then it's the same thing in real estate. We started donating $10 a door per month from every rental door that we had. We had a 5-plex and it donated $50 a month, $600 a year. Then I was like, if we can go buy more units and start stacking doors, we can actually donate more money faster and quicker. So for us, it really became about the perspective shift. Instead of becoming a capitalist and trying to make the money for ourselves, we became like philanthropists inside a capitalist world by using capitalism to go make impact in this world. And from there, that's where our mission came from, go big to give big, which is where we are growing now, is that we're just inspiring people to go bigger with their dreams and goals so they can give bigger with their profits. And with the way the world's going, the way that millennials are acting and the things that we see, we're just excited to continue to spread this mission of inspiring people to use their businesses to give back.
I like that. It's interesting. You're the second person that we've talked to this week that's like, hey, give a little bit more. It's going to be good for you. And to a lot of people, especially those coming from a scarcity-based mindset, they're like, well, I can't give money. Like I can't tip more. I can't tip extra. I can't donate. Like I'm struggling.
I'll give when I make more money.
Exactly. Rather than
instead of giving to make more money.
Yeah, exactly.
And putting it as a line item in your business. That's something that we talk a lot about. When we go and buy real estate, we have all these line items that we account for our cash flow. What is our taxes? What is our property management? What is our maintenance and repair fees? What's our potential vacancies? We put in all these numbers before we buy something. It's as simple as $10 a month. That's nothing. But when you add it in as a line item, now it's just part of the business. It gets donated out and it's just built into the businesses. And so many people think they have to go write, $100,000 checks or $1,000 checks to make impact in this world. No, if you start small, it's all about building the muscle. We just had some guests on our podcast the other day. Like they started giving small. And then now as they've built their business, it's part of a muscle. It's like going to the gym, right? You don't just expect to have a giant bicep when you go to the gym. You have to start with the 10-pound weights and work your way up to the 50-pounders. It's no different when we talk about giving in our businesses. If you think you're just going to go in and somebody, you might be wrong. Start with just a $10 donation. Something as simple, and you're just building the mindset and the muscle to be able to do that as you scale.
And people have the same, like, not just for giving for charity, people have the same mindset for investing for themselves. They're like, well, one day when I have a lot of money, I'll invest, instead of being like, well, if I started when I was 14, just doing like $2 a day for my whole life, I'd be set, you know what I mean? Into like the right thing. So
yeah. And when you go to the grocery store and they ask you, you're spending $150 on groceries, and they ask you if you're willing to spend $2 to donate to the food
I was
bank.
just thinking about that. Yeah.
It's the same question. It's like, man, if I'm able to spend $150 right now, can I not just, instead of grabbing a chocolate bar off the side, can I not just make a donation to somebody else? And again, to me, I know my $2 to the food bank is probably not going to make a massive impact. And I understand maybe they're not the right charity to that. My 100% of my money isn't going to somebody, but it's the concept for me of building that muscle, that it's actually getting to that space. Instead of tipping, everyone gets fired up about tipping. Like, I'm not going to tip 20%. Instead of looking at it in that space, what if it's like, man, what if I had the ability to tip 1% more than I originally was going to do as just a good gesture, just trying to help someone? I wanted to tip 15%. What if I make it 16? What if I just do that extra little bit to start building that muscle? And the reason why is because the law of reciprocity says the more you give, the more you get. And people forget a lot about that in business, that when you start talking to people that give, there's a book called The Go-Giver, incredible book, all about giving.
One of my favorite books. Yeah.
One of my all-time favorites. And it's all about, you don't have to even write checks. Just start doing good things for people and good things come back to you. And as that starts rolling, it gets even more fun in your life when things come to you and happen to you for no reason. You're like, why is this happening to me? And it's just the universe giving the law of reciprocity back to you for being a good human and doing stuff for other people.
Yeah, I like that. And I'm glad that you brought up the example of, when you go to the grocery store and they ask if you want to either round up to the nearest dollar or add another $1 or $2. It's always really small to donate, but enough people do that and it makes a big impact. I was just thinking, that would be a really easy thing for me to incorporate into my coaching business, is like, hey, you're on monthly payments. Do you want to round up to the nearest dollar? Do you want to add $1 to donate to St. Jude's or whatever it is? And like you said, that's not necessarily me directly putting my money into something, but I'm doing something. I'm helping people to allocate resources to help a cause.
And let's look at Tom's Shoes as an example. Tom's Shoes didn't say, hey, my profit is $3 and then I'm going to go create a second shoe and eat $2 of my profit. He said, no, my profit is $3. I'm going to add an extra $3 onto my product, which is going to pay for the second set of shoes that are getting given away. Mm-hmm. My product is going to be a little bit more expensive in the marketplace, but more people are going to want to buy my product because people want to do good these days. People want to buy from businesses that are giving back. There's so many statistics out there that say like 78% of millennials, this is from like 4 years ago, 78% of millennials want to buy from businesses that have some sort of social responsibility in them. 78%. It's not like it's a small number. We're talking astronomically big numbers of generations that are coming up that only want to work with businesses that are doing good. So if you're a business doing good, you're ahead of the curve right now. You're beating the game. And to be honest, if you aren't incorporating some sort of giving, we are going to come in and wipe you out because we don't want people using businesses just for capitalism these days and making gross amounts of money. If you're making that kind of money, why aren't you doing something to serve other people or help more? That's what the future is going to be all about.
I love that. That's a really easy way to think about making the world a better place.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Why do really people think like there's definitely a mentality that like no, not everybody, but a lot of people that money is evil and that like capitalism is inherently evil, that sort of thing. Like, why do people think that? Yeah,
it's pretty simple. I mean, you look at the middle class incomes, right? And especially now when we're being divided by the way that wealth is being diverse over the past few years, you look at the people that are making more money. One of the problems we're seeing is that a lot of these people tend to not share the stories of giving that they're actually doing. So we see a lot of these capitalists that make insane amount of money and all they share about is their cars, their boats, their yachts, and the things they're doing. And then you see people like Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos that are donating $100 million. And you're like, yeah, that's 1% of their wealth. Who cares? What we don't see is a lot of the business owners that are making $3 or $4 million a year that don't talk about the impact they're making in the world. And so when we look at a lot of these people that are in the mid-tier entrepreneur space, I'll say, so the people that are probably making, 7 to 8 figures, we look at all of them driving these fancy cars, living these nice lifestyles going, why can't they help more? That's the problem. Everyone just wants more help. If you're a low income person, you're like, how come they get everything, but they won't give back to me? The problem is, and what we're doing with our podcast is bringing light to that. We ask people, what's the biggest impact you've made? What's like the goosebump moment for you in giving? And it's not writing the $1 million check. It's helping people that maybe didn't have food, going and providing Christmas for somebody that didn't have Christmas. And if we're able to share more of those stories, people would understand why we actually need business owners, why we need capitalism in this world. We need people to go out there and make money so that they can actually help and support the people that can't go out there and make the money. So to answer your question in a roundabout way, why do people think that? It's because not enough people are actually sharing about what they're doing because we are taught not to talk about giving in that way. Give in silence, basically, which is great. But what we need to talk about is why entrepreneurs and capitalists are actually using their businesses to give back, which will inspire more people to continue to want to keep the chain moving of wanting to buy from companies. And we're seeing a lot of that with 10 Tree Clothing and Tom's Shoes and, the list goes on of all these businesses that we call for purpose or socially responsible. Now we're starting to see that come out and people are actually wanting to buy into those companies.
That makes a lot of sense. I like that. And I like the concept that doing good creates this positive reinforcement that makes you want to do more good. And then it does shift your mindset from, well, I got to make more money to I got to give more.
Totally.
And I think that's a really important mindset change. Now, do you guys strictly, work to inspire people in order to do that? Or do you have any sort of structure and system in place to actually help people learn how to scale their business to 7 figures or beyond?
Yeah. So what we're doing now is really focusing on helping people get that 6 figures to 7 figures. We help them a little bit. Biggest thing for us is just helping them understand the value of incorporating giving into them. So we're not training them how to actually build their business up. We're training them on what does the marketing do? when you actually talk about giving, what does it do? What does it do for your client base? What does it do for the team that you're building, right? Inside of your organization, what does giving do for your employees? How does it make them want to show up differently inside your business? How does it make them look at the metrics of your business a little bit differently? Because it's the same thing. When you're an employee working day in, day out for this person that you see driving a nice car every single day, maybe you're kind of going, why am I busting my ass off for that guy to go drive a nice car? When he starts talking about in his organization of how he's incorporating giving, and we talk a lot about not about how much money we're donating, maybe how many meals that you're supplying for people, right? Maybe your job is to go supply meals. There's a lot of organizations that we're working with now that are saying, hey, now instead of saying our profit margins are this, it's how many meals are we able to give, because it's a portion of our profit. Say 10% of all profit is going to be donated. Now, instead of talking about the 90% of money they're making, they're talking about the 10% that they're donating, and they're discussing it in meals made. For us, it's Kids Sport Victoria. $300 helps one kid play sport. Now we talk about our profit and how many kids are we going to put through sport this month? And that drives our team to be more excited, because when we talk about profit, we talk about, yeah, we're doing good, but how many kids are we able to put through sport this month? So that's how we're really helping reprogram and reframe the way people are looking at their businesses, so that when they start incorporating this, what does it do for the culture? What does it do for the marketing? And helping them understand that speaking about giving can be in two different ways. Marketing, which is a great marketing piece, but you have to do it responsibly. It's to get more people through your doors. How are you backing up the words that you're putting out there of what you're doing? And just to be clear on one thing here, what we do in our business in giving, we talk about publicly. What I do privately, I don't talk about publicly. I personally just went and donated a few $100s to one of my friends the other day that just lost his brother to brain cancer. Okay, I'm not posting that on my social media saying, here's what I donated. My business is going to donate to that person, and we'll say, hey, one of the things our company loves to do is support our members. It's a mastermind that we run. We are going to donate X amount of dollars to this person. So as a business, we talk about what we donate. Personally, my own core beliefs, I can donate whatever I want quietly.
Yep. I like that. So for the entrepreneurs that are listening that want to start incorporating more giving into their business structure, what's a good starting place? What is what are the few most important things that we need to identify, consider, and then how do we, like you mentioned, how we word that, how we phrase that is really important.
I missed the beginning part of your question there, Josh. You just cut out for a second.
Sorry, I cut out a little bit.
Get it one more time. That'd be
yes. I was wondering, so for entrepreneurs that are listening to this podcast that want to learn how they can get involved in giving and work that into their business strategy, what are the most important things they need to start with? And how do we word and phrase those things, like you said, in marketing and whatnot?
Yeah. One of the biggest things you're passionate about. So many people just think, nothing inspires me to donate to Red Cross. There's no reason for me to feel excited about it. I don't believe in their model. I don't believe in how they build business. They do good work, but it's just not what inspires me. I'm an athlete. So when I talk about giving $300 puts a kid through organized sport, I'm personally connected to how that kid is going to go through sports. I'm like, man, could you imagine being a single mom, not being able to put your kid through sport from this company, and all of a sudden your kid's able to play in sports and they get leadership training at this? That fires me up. That's why I'm so passionate about what I do. So you need to find something you're passionate about, and then you need to vet the charity. You need to make sure that that charity is exactly what you want. So learning about charities, how much are they giving away? How much do they use for admin staff? How much are they using for their own overhead? Those are some questions that you need to ask inside the charities that you're working with. An example is Dan Fleischman, a very successful entrepreneur, runs something called the Model Citizen Fund, and they do backpacks for the homeless. If you believe in that model of helping the homeless people, he's a great example because he has other businesses that fund the charity's admin staff and their warehouses. So I think he's called like a zero-sum nonprofit. All the money that you donate gets directly pushed out. So going and finding those organizations that you can attach to that believe are doing good, that you can get behind. And then when you start speaking about them or attaching them into your business, you're motivated, you're passionate, and you're excited to be a part of it. So you have to have that muscle, which we talk about, to be excited about the charity you're donating to. I don't want it to, when we talk about having like good ethics inside of marketing, if you're not passionate about what you're donating to and you're just doing it, you're just doing it for a marketing ploy or because it's the social norm. I want you to be passionate about something that you can donate to, so that you actually want to go speak from your heart and sell from your heart of knowing that you are doing it to solve this problem that you believe that nonprofit is doing.
Yeah, I think it's definitely important to be able to, enjoy what you're doing and believe in it. And I think everybody, when we think deep down, like everybody has a cause that they want to support, whether it's sports, whether it's mental health advocacy, whatever it may be. But that's a good point to look into exactly how that organization operates. Because I think it would be almost disheartening to know that you're donating money and really all it's going towards is admin and overhead, and not necessarily towards helping the people that you're hoping to help. So I think that's a really good place to start.
Go ahead.
Yeah, that was one of my big questions, was around like, how do you find the right cause? How do you find the right organization? Because you always hear these kind of horror stories of, the hurricane in the Caribbean, and like, FEMA comes in and they just like build a big soccer stadium and leave while there's all these people homeless with no drinking water. Do you work mainly with like small organizations, or have you found that there's just kind of like good and not so good organizations on both ends of the spectrum?
Yeah. We primarily love working with smaller organizations. So Kids Sport Victoria is local here. They have different chapters across, but they're individually ran. So I know the GM of Kids Sport Greater Victoria. And when I go see them, I go into their office. I'm talking to them about where they're spending their money, how much their salaries are. We know a lot of that information. That makes it very easy for me to get behind their mission, their mottos, because I know what they're doing. Another one we support is International Network of Hearts. A friend I met in a mastermind, they help sex traffic kids down in Mexico. I've been to their villa. I've seen the kids. I've met them. When you start having that passion, you're like, wow, sending money to this place, really, I know exactly what that money is providing for. It allows you to just be more attached to it. So smaller organizations are easier for us. There's a lot of people in this industry that are doing what we're doing. They're just doing it quietly. So if you get connected to a few people, that's how we learned about all these organizations, is just talking to entrepreneurs and saying, who are you donating to? What charities do you like? Because people that are making consistent donations, they do their vetting, they do their checking. A lot of people aren't just donating to, I'll say, Red Cross. They have water.org is another one, or Charity Water is another one, that they do a lot of that inside of a very good job of selling what they're doing on a bigger scale. But a lot of organizations come in. Pencils for Promise is another big organization that you see a lot of entrepreneurs supporting because they know the people inside the organization. So that's something to consider. The other thing to consider too, we had Brant Pinvidic come on our show the other day, and he was like, screw charities. I don't care about the tax write-off. I'm giving because I want to help people. He's like, I just have a slush fund and an account where if I'm walking down the street and I see somebody that I want to help, I just help them. If I hear about somebody that needs a surgery to solve a problem, I just pay for the surgery for them. No questions asked, no tax write-off. I just want to give because I love it. That's what makes him happy inside. So we talk a lot about charities and organizations, but you can also just give without the tax write-off. You can just go find somebody who's struggling and do something nice for them. Just create your own slush fund. It doesn't have to feel like you're donating to charities. So many people also have the bad stigma of like, you only donate because you want the tax write-off. Mm-hmm. No, I do it because I actually get off on it. Like, it makes me excited. And so things like that. An example for that is we had a big flood here up in BC, and my company went and wrote a $5,000 check to literally pay for gas of an organization that was driving their jet boats up and down, saving people that were stuck because the BC or the whole provincial government wouldn't come and fund them. They couldn't get funding. They're coming out of their own pockets, saving people's lives, and they couldn't get funding. So we just stepped up. We wrote a $5,000 check, and we had about a dozen other entrepreneurs come in, $10, I think, and we donated over $15,000 cash to this organization so they could just keep fueling their boats, fueling their crews, so they could go save lives. I get goosebumps talking about it because that's the impact that we want to leave on this world. I don't care about the tax write-off. I care about using my business to do good. And I know for a fact that we saved lives with that money that we were able to fund with the gas money for those boats to go do the work they needed to do. Yeah,
I definitely would suggest like either getting involved in your own thing or like, finding these like smaller organizations to donate to. I just think that that's Like if everybody was doing that on like a micro level, I think it would solve like most of the world's problems, because, you know, there's like, you definitely know somebody who knows somebody who is like making an actual difference somewhere. And whatever money that you donate to them is like literally going to make a difference versus, like you said, kind of paying for marketing costs and salaries and stuff like that.
And even if you just, you know, somebody that's starting a business, something like, you know, we talk about giving us so many different lights, but there's this light here is one that we don't talk a lot about. What if you have a friend that's starting a business and he's selling products? What if you just went and bought, 100 of his products to get him off the ground, to get him working, and you went and gave it away, right? There's so many ways that we want to change the stigma of giving, is not just writing checks to big charities. That's what we talk about. But what if it's investing in a company that you know you might lose that money? It's not an investment, it's a charity donation to somebody. And you're helping them out. You're trying to get them off the ground. You're making the next steps. We talk a lot about time as well. Giving your time is another way you can give back. There's no better ROI than going and sitting with someone that is struggling, hearing about their problems, and then coming back to your business and saying, wow, is this really a big problem in my life? When I just sat down with someone that was homeless, living on the streets, and couldn't even find a meal for today. And I can go literally order Uber Eats and have food here in 20 minutes and stroke a $50 signature and not even think twice about it. Perspective shift is another big way. So going and actually spending time with people that are struggling, or in charities or in organizations, will really put your business into perspective for you, and really want you to think twice about some of the stuff you're going through.
I like that. It makes it so much easier to see the opportunity, right? I think you're right. A lot of people, we tend to think of, donation, it has to be to a charity, it has to be to this, it has to be that. And it doesn't. It could be, to a friend, it could be a family member, it could be to somebody on the street, like you mentioned, just finding somebody who needs help and helping them, whether it's with time or money or otherwise. The last question I have is regarding structure to donation strategies for businesses. Do you see any correlation between how consumers respond to donating based off percentage of profits, donating based off adding $1 to the total, like we see at the grocery store? Some businesses will hold events. Is there any sort of best practice that you find, or any data to back up which is a best strategy to use?
That's a fantastic question. And in the next phase of my research, that's where I'm going with it, is to find more about that. In our practices, we haven't seen a difference for it. Us personally, going, a $10 a door is something that we can metric track for us. That's easy to say, hey, if we go get 100 doors, we know we're donating $1,000 a month. That's very easy metric for us to track. The 1% or 10%, I found with people that are just starting out, it makes them nervous, because if their profit margins slow down, or, it's very easy to just kind of fudge that number. Whereas we just do a flat fee for something, it's baked into your numbers. It's calculated, and it's a little bit more trackable, because so many people, when they start out, honestly don't know their profits, don't know their percentages. So I'll say for new businesses starting out, it's very easy just to make hey, I'm going to donate X amount for things. So Josh, you run coaching clients. It's, hey, maybe I'm just going to donate $100 from every coaching client I get. Simple, easy, flat fee. You know your numbers, you know how much profit you're making, you know where you are. And maybe you go from charging, I don't know what your numbers are. You go from charging $5,000 to $5,500, and you donate $500 a client. Mm-hmm. And that's just what it is. Yep. What that does is now you're able to sell that to your clients in a way that's supporting them. Hey, every time you enroll, I'm going to make a $500 donation to your charity of choice. Who cares, right? Might not be your charity. Maybe it's their charity. Yeah. So there's so many ways.
That's cool.
Spin that off of. Now what you're doing is you're creating a connection to a client that you normally might not have had, right? You're selling your product, you're selling your service, and all of a sudden you're like, obviously you're selling your product and you're getting a connection there, but all of a sudden you throw in that, hey man, I want to know what charity excites you. What movement excites you? I'd like to make a $500 donation to your cause, wherever it is, if you enroll with me today. And what that, now we're starting to talk about using marketing of giving to enroll clients. You're creating a better experience. And how we do that in our business is apples to apples, development to development. They both pay the exact same amount at the end of the day. Our developments, We give back. Maybe we go build a new school somewhere. Pencils for Promise. Another development, they just keep that profit, or they're quiet about their giving. When you guys come to invest in two companies and you see them side by side, your return is the exact same. One company gives back and solves a problem, another one doesn't. Which one are you likely going to go to?
Mm-hmm.
They're
True.
apples to apples. It draws you in. So same thing in the coaching space. It's very saturated. How are you standing out in this space? How are you building more connection, more intimacy? We do that with our mastermind. We donate a portion of every single membership that comes in, and we go to all of our speakers and we say, hey, do you want to come speak on our stage? Awesome. We're going to make a donation in your name to whatever charity you want to come speak to our mastermind. I'm getting people coming to speak that we normally wouldn't even get in the door because it's a donation to their charity. They don't, do you think these guys like Tim Story care about getting, $2,000 to come speak to our mastermind? Dude, that means nothing to that guy. When you say, hey, we want to make a $2,000 donation to your charity, he's like, I love it. Nobody's doing that. Let me come in and speak. If that's the mentality you have, if that's how you're driving your mastermind, I want to be a part of that group. And like attracts like. It draws in the right people to our group, the right people to come speak, and helps us grow. So those are some ways that we're, again, using marketing to give inside this space and what it can actually mean. So when I talk about what's better, the percentage of or this, if you're building a corporation, 1% is easy. If you have a smaller business, flat nominal fees sometimes tend to be a little bit easier and more connection, more intimacy to your members to get them to come in.
That makes a lot of sense. I really like that too. The whole idea of, hey, we're going to donate X amount of dollars. We have charities that we typically work with, but what do you care about? Like, what do you want your enrollment essentially to go towards? And I think that's a really easy way to just incorporate giving into the business. So I like this, man. This has definitely opened up, so my eyes a little bit to the possibility of giving in more than just a percentage-based model like, we've been doing, and more than just a certain number of dollars per year. This is a really way to, like you say, give more to get more. Right.
Yeah. It's all about go big to give big. So then this is the crazy thing, Josh. Now you've got 10 clients and you're like, this is awesome. I just donated, let's use the same example, $500. You just donated $5,000 this year. That's great. Then you start going, how can I get that up to 10 grand? How can I get that up to 100 grand? And that's how we take 6-figure earners to become 7-figure givers. That's our mission on our podcast, is taking people like that whole concept. Instead of driving the 6-figure nominal, how much can you make? You talk about how do you donate 7 figures? Because dude, if you're donating 7 figures, you're making a lot more money than you ever anticipated to be happy with 6 figures. So that's how you can take your coaching business and then scale it on the concept of giving, because now it's, 10 clients makes you donate $5,000. Well, I want to donate 500,000. How do I get to 100 clients then? How do I start growing that space based on the amount that I'm giving?
Yeah. And then not only that, but like you were talking about not just quantifying things in a dollar amount, but how many meals are you giving away? How many kids are you putting through organized sport? Those are metrics that I think seem like they hit home a lot harder and are easier to understand than a dollar amount.
Totally.
So this has been awesome.
Our 5plex, it's a simple example. I just use it in all my places, but $50 a month, $600 a year. That's 2 kids we put through sport every year because we make profit off of our building. Mm-hmm. Our building, every time I drive by it, I'm like, that building puts 2 kids through sport a year. What a good feeling that is. Kids' lives that I'm really changing. Gives me, that feeling like, wow, that's incredible. When you're talking in numbers, when we were doing $1,000 a month, we're putting 3 kids a month through sport. That's pretty cool. And we can stand in the front of the stage and in front of the room and say, because you all chose to be here today and make a $10 donation to learn real estate, you all bought 3 kids to go through sport that normally wouldn't have the opportunity. Let me play a quick video of one of the kids that you've helped.
Yeah.
Like, tell me that doesn't build that like personal connection. And now when we start talking about in the industry of investing, where there's apples to apples, when we're sharing stories like that, which one do you feel like like and trust more? Which ones do you naturally feel attracted to? And inside there, that's when we share about a lot of our investment opportunities. So again, we're using different marketing in a right way to get people to know, like, and trust us faster.
Mm-hmm. That's great. It's a great thing to think about adding into your business, and super easy to do. So this has been awesome, man. This has been a great conversation and like really, like surprisingly simple is my favorite part. Like so simple to build into your business strategy. So Randy, I appreciate you coming on and sharing this and inspiring people, ourselves included. I'm definitely going to want to follow you. I know our listeners are going to want to follow you as well and learn more about you and what you're doing. So why don't you give yourself the plug, man? Tell us where we can find you and what you got going on.
I encourage everyone to look up the Go Big to Give Big podcast. We've had some absolutely incredible guests come on and share their stories about giving and how they're building their businesses and then using it to good in this world. And then any of my social media handles is just at Randy Molland. Slip into my DMs. I absolutely am a fanatic of talking about this, as you can probably tell. So anyone that wants to chat about giving or using your business to do good, that's my space. And that's where I'd love to chat with people.
Awesome, man. Well, to all our listeners, I highly recommend you check out Randy and the Go Big to Give Big movement. Thank you again for coming on, man. It's been a phenomenal conversation. And thank you to everyone who's tuned in to another episode of the Struggle to Strength podcast. We will see y'all next week.